Hello, hello, hello. How's everybody doing tonight? Give it a couple minutes and then we'll jump right into sci-fi world, which is where we're going tonight. Changed up my camera view a little bit, moved it back a little. Still playing around with things, trying to figure everything out. You guys will have to let me know what you think. Yeah. 5 seconds. Too many emotes, apparently. I'll have to figure out if I can change that emote one. Not sure if I can or not. How's everybody's night going? Hey Breedub, can you type something so I make sure I'm getting chat? Okay. Do it one more time. Okay. Just wanted to make sure. I'll start rolling the story at 7:05. So you got 3 minutes of just me and you. My lovely viewers. Like I said earlier, I'm going to do some sci-fi tonight. Something a little different from fantasy. I feel like we've done a few fantasy stories in a row. Time to change it up. Yeah, I'm not sure if I can fix that. Here we go. And there. I think I fixed it. Shouldn't get timed out for using those emotes anymore. Didn't realize that was turned on. Emote away. Disable that one too. There was 2 turned on that I didn't know were on. There, that should... That should stop that. Well, from the looks of it, might just be the 3 of us tonight. Which is fine. Yeah, just so you know, Slick Willy, I fixed that. You can use as many emotes as you want. Doesn't bother me. I didn't realize that was enabled on my Nightbot. Seems like an odd thing to time people out for. Alright, 7:05. I'm not going to hold up the story, so we're going to get right into it. And since we're doing it that way, go ahead and type !pick me to enter the giveaway for a chance to pick out our character. There's one entry. Ah. Well, I'll tell you what. Since it's just the two of you right now, I am just going to start my story and we'll run with it. How does that sound? So, our story tonight is going to be sci-fi, like I said earlier. And we're just going to jump right into it. How about that? So, follow me as we embark on a journey to a planet many light years away in a distant galaxy. A planet where beauty is abundant. The trees, foliage, and plants of the planet glow an iridescent or shiny purple. The wildlife that roams these forested lands, the whole planet, it's covered in forest. Thick forest, hard to walk through forest. That's beautiful. And the animals that roam these forests are equally as beautiful. It was the year 2075 when this planet was first discovered. Nothing like it had been found before. The planet was declared a galactic preserve. Now, what is this, you might ask? Well, much like nature preserves here on planet Earth, a galactic preserve is an entire planet that is declared free of any hunting and harvesting. The creatures there were too unique, and the plant life too unique, to allow any of that to happen. But, because it was so beautiful, it immediately became a prime tourist location. People from Earth and all the different galaxies around made it their goal to visit this place. And as such, a small, non-invasive resort was built for the tourists to use. However, as is always the case, When there are things of such beauty, evil always rears its ugly head. A rumor was started that the stones harvested, dug up from the underlayers of the planet, when ground to a dust, had magical healing powers. Now, this rumor was, of course, nothing more than a rumor. It had been disproven by scientists, and no matter how much stone dust people added to their drinks, it never cured anything. But people want to believe what they want to believe, and so illegal harvesters began to sneak onto the planet and mine the stone. The toll, the cost of this mining on the environment was immediate. Areas that were dug by the illegal mining operations suffered habitat loss at an extraordinary rate. In order to put a stop to this, the Galactic Preserve Society, who are a bunch of really, really powerful people that were in charge of making sure everything in the galaxy was maintained, created a task force. And this task force was meant to patrol and preserve this planet and capture the illegal harvesters. They were known as the Galactic Preserve Patrol, the GPP. So, that brings us to the where, the what, and the why. Now, it's time for the who. First up is Jack, an alien who is from a planet not far from our galactic preserve. His planet was very similar to the one that we're talking about. It was beautiful. It was perfect for him and his people. But they destroyed it through overuse of the resources. And when Jack discovered that the GPP, Galactic Patrol, was being created to help fight the illegal harvesters on this gorgeous planet, he was the first in line to join. The idea of a planet so similar to his, going through the same thing that he lived through, was simply unbearable. Our second main character is named Liana, and she was a human from Earth. Her true passion was animals. She loved them more than anything. And as such, when she heard about this planet with these unique, beautiful animals, she frequented it. She traveled there. She was a constant member of the resort. And she always was wandering through the woods, taking photographs of these animals. She had a better knowledge of the land than anyone. And when the GPP asked her to join them as head navigator, she could not refuse, because the animals there were far too important to her. Jack and Liana were essentially the leaders of this task force. They pretty much ran it. And, to date, they had done a phenomenal job slowing the illegal harvesters down. But, as is always the case, the more criminals they caught, the smarter the criminals got. Got to a point where there was only smart ones left, and they were very difficult to catch. And it seemed every time they caught one, two more would appear. It became apparent to Liana and Jack that in order to truly put a stop to this illegal harvesting of the stone from this gorgeous planet, they would need to capture and take down the head honcho, the leader, the one who paid for all the illegal mining operations. An android, part human, part robot, android, named Dart. So far, taking down Dart had proven to be a very difficult task. Every time that they thought they were close to taking down Dart, they would hit a dead end or be tripped up somewhere, and they had to start fresh. Dart was smart. For Liana and Jack and the members of the Galactic Preserve Patrol, it became more and more difficult to do their jobs and dangerous. You see, the people running the illegal mining operations had started to lay traps for them and to catch them, and each time they caught somebody, they would send that member of the GPP somewhere in the planet and hide them, basically putting the Galactic Patrol on a treasure hunt for their member, which would give the harvesters a chance to pack up and move on to a different area. Slowly, members of the Galactic Patrol began to worry about their safety, and many chose to quit. They just wasn't worth it to them anymore. And lower numbers meant less ground covered, and it meant that Dart grew further and further away, harder and harder to catch. And that brings us to today. We join Jack and Liana back at the Galactic Patrol Preserve headquarters on the outskirts of the resort. The two of them are hunched over a large table, staring at a map of the planet. Giant map. And this map had red X's all over it. The X's each represented a location where they had attempted to catch Dart and had failed. Each of those represented a failure. And the more X's that appeared on the map, the more frustrated they'd become. Liana and Jack were discussing where they should look for Dart next when they heard a knock at the door. Jack approached the door and looked through the little tiny hole. What? Who's in there? And, to his surprise, it was a Grogan. Now, Grogans are an alien from a planet far away in the galaxy, and they were known for usually being involved in shady deals. They weren't generally trustworthy. Nonetheless, Jack opened the door and asked, "How can I help you?" The Grogan replied,
"Hello, my name is Akron, and I have some information you might find useful in capturing the notorious Dart."
Now, Jack and Liana weren't sure whether they should trust this Grogan or ask him to leave. And what I would like to know is what you think that we should do. Go ahead and fill out that poll for me really quick. In the meantime, I see you've got a new follower, Nut Susanna. Thanks for the follow. I don't know if you're in here or not still. Whew. Time for a sip of tea. Oh, that's warm. It's still chilly down here. Look forward to when it's not winter anymore. I'm sure everyone does. And the results of the poll are in. How exciting. We are going to trust him. Well, that's good. You guys are trustworthy. I'm glad to know that you're all trustworthy people. Now, Jack knew the reputation of the Grogans, but he believed that everyone deserved to be trusted until they lost that right. So he welcomed the Grogan into their playing room and motioned to the sofa, asking him to sit. Akron graciously accepted, at which point Jack asked him to provide the information he claimed he had. Akron sighed deeply and said,
I have been smuggling stone dust off the planet for some time now, but I've come to the realization that what I am doing is wrong and leading to the destruction of an astounding planet. I can no longer live with this. Each time I pick up a load of stone dust, Name 3 is present to pay me. I am willing to help you capture Dart.
Jack looked at Liana, clearly trying to see if she believed the Grogan. She understood his look and asked Akron, "What do you want in return for helping us? You've admitted to a crime that we've no power to stop the punishment for." Akron nodded and replied,
I know, and I'm not asking for that. I simply want to right some of my wrong before serving my time in galactic prison.
"Whoa. That's awfully honorable of our Grogan friend, it seems." Liana and Jack were still skeptical, but decided to work with Akron to plan out a plan. To make a plan, rather. And he gave them the details of where and when the stone dust trade would happen, told them where they could hide, how they could set traps. He had everything planned out. And so, with that information, they called a meeting with the remaining members of the Galactic Patrol and told them all that Akron had said. But the members, like much of society, were not trusting, for good reason. Many Grogans had betrayed people in the past, and they were convinced that it must be a trap. No matter what Jack and Liana said, they would not trust it. And so, Liana and Jack made the decision that just the two of them and Akron would execute the plan. With the final details in place, Akron left to go home and get ready for the next day. And as soon as he left, Jack looked at Liana, and they were both thinking the same thing. Should they stick to the plan, or should they make a new plan? They still weren't convinced that they could trust him, although they had welcomed him in and asked him these questions. They just didn't know. So what do you guys think? Stick to the plan that they laid out with Akron, or make a new plan? Use the information. Now they know that the location given must at least be somewhat good, because if things weren't quite fitting, they would catch on right away. But there's the chance that he's just trying to get them there and then trap them. So, what do you guys think? Vote on that poll and let me know. Now, if you're new here, all you got to do is click on that link in the chat and it'll bring you through to the poll, and then you can vote. I need your help to finish my story. And the votes are in, and we are going to stick to the plan. You guys are still a very trusting bunch. So, having decided that they would stick to the plan, Jack and Liana headed off to bed, excited for the opportunity that tomorrow presented. The next morning, they awoke and gathered their supplies from the shelves and the various rooms that they needed, packed their backpacks, and headed out through the dense forest, following the map that Akron had marked for them. As they walked towards the location, they took in the beauty around them. It was truly peaceful here. The fact that someone was willing to destroy this gorgeous planet was dumbfounding to them. So they walked for an hour or two, and then they arrived at the supposed pickup location, and everything was exactly how Akron had described. They set up the traps using the supplies they had brought with them, and headed to the hiding spot that Akron had recommended. Everything was going as it should. They sat in their hiding spot for around an hour, and then things began to happen. Akron and the crew he worked for rolled up in their hovercraft vehicles with 2 tons of excavated stone. Akron looked extremely nervous. Then, right on cue, up pulled Dart, right into the clearing. This was the first time that Jack and Liana had actually laid eyes on Dart, and they were excited for the opportunity that was now right in front of them. They waited for everyone to fall into place, and as soon as everyone was where they should be, Liana reached out and pulled the rope, and the traps started in motion. Crash! Bang! Boom! Things exploded, tires popped, but most importantly, the net from the tree fell. And caught inside the net was Dart and a few of his men. Everything went perfectly. Jack told Liana to call it into headquarters to get the galactic police headed this direction. And while she was doing that, he walked over to Akron, the Grogan. Akron looked shaken but relieved. And he said, "Akron, I can't thank you enough for what you have done today. Although you have done wrong in the past, today you truly made an effort to correct that, and I will never be able to thank you enough. There is a chance that you may have saved this planet." Akron's skin turned a slight purple, the Grogan's version of blushing.
Well, I don't know if I'd go that far, but I know I'll feel a lot better about myself in prison now.
Jack looked at Akron, and his heart sank a little. And then he said, I'm going to go over and talk to Liana for a minute while we're calling in the Galactic Police. As far as I'm concerned, everyone who was involved in this operation today, in terms of the miners, is caught under that net. Nobody got away to my knowledge. So, maybe when I turn around, you're not here anymore. But, make sure you get off this planet. I'm going to catch every miner there is now that Dart's out of the picture. Don't let me catch you again. Akron thanked Jack and walked away into the forest. Jack walked over to Liana, who noticed that Dart was gone, and she smiled, nodded at Jack as if in approval, and then they called in the Galactic Police, who showed up and took away Dart in handcuffs. That is one android that never saw daylight again. Many months later, Liana and Jack had finished up catching the remaining illegal mining operations, and the planet was returning to normal. Their job complete, they decided to build a small hut in the trees of this gorgeous planet and live out the remainders of their days there, always on guard, always ready to step in and put an end to any wrongdoing that might happen on this preserve. And that's going to do it for tonight. I hope that everyone who tuned in enjoyed the story. I know I did. I think that it was a fun one, a little different. We went up into space this time. We had a few viewers pop in and out, but overall, I think that the story went pretty well. Slick Willie, I hope you enjoyed it. You're my most faithful follower, and I appreciate it. You too, Bree-Dub. So, with that, I'm going to go ahead and throw it over to the ending screen. Have a good night.